Okay, are you ready? 3.6, solving polynomials. While this is long, it's the same process every time. But I'm not gonna lie, it is long. It takes a while. But you just have to learn the steps, how to do it, and then you can do it. So the first thing is you want to find a rational zero from the graph. Now if I was really evil, I wouldn't let you use the calculator and you'd have to use the P over Q thing. But I'm not making you do that. I'm just saying look at the graph, find a zero. Doesn't matter which one. If it has multiple ones, just use one. Then you're going to divide using the box. If you still have the top of your box as cubic, then you're going to repeat the same thing. So now type in your cubic into y1, look for a 0, and repeat. Now, once you get it down to a quadratic, those of you who love the quadratic formula can do the quadratic formula. I'm going to check and see if it can factor or if I want to do completing the square. It doesn't matter. Mr. Quadratic formula will always work. But he's long, so I'm not going to do him if I don't need to. Especially because some of you got some really funny answers when you did it with the quadratic formula. Use your brain. Okay. Whew. First one. Now, this guy is a trickster. When I look at this one, I see it as a sum of cubes. Now, if I didn't see it as a sum of cubes, I can look on my handy-dandy graph and see that I have an x-intercept at -4, which means that x plus 4 is a factor. So I could go ahead, set up my box, and then I'm going to divide. So I put Mr. X cubed right here, which means they have an x squared and a 4x squared. But wait, there's no x squared term, so this means that this is a -4x squared. So this is a -4x, which means this is a -16x. But wait, there's no x term, so this is a +16x. So this is a +16, and this is a +64. Yay! I got the same answer, and that worked. Guess what? I didn't have to do all that if I remembered SOMAS. Watch and behold the greatness. This is x plus 4 times SOMAS. I know you love my videos now. X squared, opposite sign, multiply terms, always add, square your second term. What? It's the same thing. What? Okay, so no matter how you got there, here is my quadratic, and I could either complete the square or use the quadratic formula. Since all of you did the quadratic formula, I will do that. Opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So I do some simplifying jazz. Stop. Do not divide the 2 into the 48. I cannot do that. You are killing kittens. Do not do that. I have to simplify that. Now, some of you just decided, hey, I don't like that negative, so I'm just going to ignore it. That means I'm going to have an I. So 4 plus or minus the square root of 48. I over 2. Now I have to simplify square root of 48. So I go over here on my scratch paper and I think to myself, so 48 is 6 times 8. If you started with 2 and 24, you'll get to the same answer. It's okay. Okay, this is 4 and 2, yada, yada, yada. Hark, I have some pairs of 2's. I have one pair of 2's. I have another pair of 2's. So that means I can take it out and I get 4 plus or minus. 2 times 2 is 4. I have a square root of 3 left over. And I still have my I. He doesn't magically disappear. Over 2. And now I can simplify if I want. 4 over 2 would be 2 plus or minus. 4 over 2 is 2. and I still have my square root of 3i hanging out at the end, which means my ultimate final answer is -4 from way up there, comma 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 square root of 3i. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. All right, on to the next one. What can you do? Of course, you can graph this and find a 0 and then divide, and then it's cubic, so you graph it and you find a 0 and then you use the quadratic formula. Or I can do it the smart way. And the smart way is to see that this is really similar to x squared minus 8x minus 9, and I can use x factor. Multiplies to -9, adds to -8, bada bing, bada boom, that's -9, +1. But now, I haven't been multiplying to a -9x squared, I've been multiplying to x to the 4th and adding to x squared. So it's really x squared minus 9 times x squared plus 1. Are you ready for some magic math? Y'all did some real magic math right here. Okay, mostly we were cool with this is x minus 3, x plus 3, which means my first zeros are +3, -3. Cool beans. Mostly we got that. Here's where the magic occurred. We said that this is equal to plus or minus 1. No. Subtract your 1. Take the square root. Don't forget your plus or minus. What is the square root of -1? I. So my answer is plus or minus I. Not 1. Not the same thing. Not the same thing. So this would be plus or minus I, not plus or minus 1. Now, how can we use our brain and see that this is what's going to happen? Well, look at your graph. Did it cross at +1 and -1? No. So if it doesn't cross your x-axis at +1, -1, that means you did something wrong. Next. Here we go. Hope you don't mind my sense of humor. This is now the 6th video I've done today. All right. So if I graph this baby, I find that I have an x-intercept once again at -4. I don't know what was with me when I wrote this test. X plus 4 would be the factor. And now I'm going to divide this baby. I'm going to use the quadratic formula. X cubed, x squared, 4x squared. I want a 9x squared, so this is 5x squared. 5x. 20x. I don't want 20x, I want 19x. Take away 1. Minus 1. Minus 4. Now, it would be really sweet if this factors. Is there something that multiplies to -1 and adds to 5? No. Okay. Moving on. I don't want to complete the square with that because b is not even. So I'm going to use my quadratic formula. X equals opposite b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, I know now you know that's not my real sing voice. Okay, 5 squared is 25. Hold on. A negative times a negative is a positive. A few of you out there forgot that little memo. 4 times 1 times 1 is 4 all over 2. So that's going to be -5 plus or minus the square root of 29 over 2. And that's all. I can't do anything to the square root of 29. He's what we call prime. And I have to bring down my -4 from my original. And I'm done. There we go. He wasn't so bad. And a lot of us got that one. Next, some of you just graphed this one, which, you know, isn't the end of the world. But I really would like you to know how to do it mathematically, and maybe I'll be better the next time about choosing one that isn't able to be solved totally graphically. This one, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you start. I decided when I did this I was going to do 2 because I like 2. So if I had negative 2 as a 0, that means I have x plus 2 as a factor. Once again, doesn't matter which one I choose because all of them are zeros. Put my baby in, x cubed, x squared, 2x squared. I want a 5x squared, so I need a 3, 3x, 6x. Ew, I don't want 6x, I want negative 34x. I need to spend $40. Negative 40. And I'm doing the happy dance because this is negative 8. Hot shababs. Here we go. Now, can I use quadratic formula? Yes. Do I want to? No. Is there something that multiplies to negative 40 and adds to positive 3? C. 8 and negative 5. So that means x plus 8 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. Solve for x. I get negative 8, positive 5, which should jive with my graph. Negative 8, positive 5, and my negative 2. Once again, it doesn't matter which one I start with when I'm dividing. I should get negative 8, positive 5, negative 2. Onwards. Last one. I know you're ready for it. I am too. X to the 4th minus 4x cubed plus 8x squared minus 16x plus 16 equals 0. Okay, on my graph, I see I have an x-intercept at positive 2. So that means x minus 2 is a factor. And a lot of us were good at least identifying what our 0 was. So x to the 4th means I have x cubed, which means I have negative 2x cubed. But I want negative 4, so this is negative 2. Negative 2x squared, positive 4x squared. But I want an 8x squared. So this is a 4x. And this is a negative 8x. But I want a negative 16x. Pretty much this is what my brain is thinking all the time. And that makes that positive 16. Yay, it worked. Okay, now, I have so many options at this point, and this is what y'all don't like, is that I can't tell you how to do it because there's so many ways to do it. On my graph, if you remember, if I looked really close at 2, it looked like that, right? What does that mean? That means that I had x minus 2 squared. So I can divide this, whoops, I wanted to color there, this, by x minus 2 again. So let me do that. This is way number 1. I think a couple of us chose this way. X cubed, because I'm going back to what I underlined in green. X squared, negative 2x squared. Hey, that's nice. I wanted a negative 2x squared. Moving on. 4x, 4, negative 8. And I way overcompensated with my box. Sweet. So then I get x squared plus 4 is the rest. Now, I also could have seen, or that somehow this just looks pretty. Let me just try putting it in the box. X cubed, negative 2x squared, 4x, negative 8, and if I pull out all my GCFs, and behold, there was much rejoicing. What do you see? It's the same thing. What? Okay, I also could have graphed, third way now, I could have graphed my cubic and it would have had a 0 at x minus 2 and I would have done my division and ended up exactly at that first box. So, what does that mean? It means that I have 2 is a multiplicity of 2. It happens twice, okay? So, I didn't really need you to say that, but that leaves me with x squared plus 4. No matter what way you slice it, you should end up with x squared plus 4. Once again, we had a miracle occurring here. Somehow this is becoming positive or negative 2. Once again, I ask the question, did it have an x-intercept of negative 2? No. So don't say it does if it doesn't. Simple as that. Subtract your 4. Take the square root. We can't forget our plus or minus. And what is the square root of negative 4? Plus or minus 2i. Some of you did the quadratic formula. That's fine. That seems way too long to me. But if you wanted to do that, that's fine. But then you didn't simplify for me 4 over 2. What's 4 over 2? It's 2. I didn't really count off for that. But that gives me a final answer of, are you ready for it? 2 plus or minus 2i. Miss Hester, it's a quartic. You're supposed to have 4 zeros. I know. 2 happens twice. There we go. The end, amen. I hope that made a little bit more sense. Yes, these problems are long. I know they're long, but you have to go back to my first slide up here. Where'd he go? You have to memorize these steps. If you don't memorize this, there just ain't no hope for you on 3.6. And by the way, I'm going to make 3.6 count as 2 test scores, just double weight it, which in the big scheme of things, no big deal. But in the scheme of this test, you need to learn how to do this. It's a really important skill. All right. Hopefully you enjoyed my little bit of humor on this one.